Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Renforth Resources Inc. It trades on the CSE under the symbol RFR and on the OTCQB under the symbol RFHRF. And it's focused on Quebec's newest battery metals district, the wholly owned 330 square kilometers Surimeau District Property, which hosts several known areas of polymetallic battery metals mineralization, each with various levels of exploration, as well as a significant amount of unexplored ground. Please welcome its president and CEO, Nicole Brewster. Welcome, Nicole. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Thank you. As you can hear, I'm battling a cold, but I'm doing well other than that. So apologies about the cold. That's out of my hands.
Yeah, it's okay. We look forward to your presentation. Call me back when you're ready.
Thank you so much. So I want to thank everyone for joining me this morning. And again, my apologies. I do have a cold that I'm fighting, but we're going to talk about Renforth. Renforth is a great little company. It's definitely a junior exploration company with a bit of a difference. We're not exploring for mineralization or assets. We have a phenomenal asset in our Surimeau property, which is, as you heard Anna say, located in Quebec and hosts pretty much the full suite of battery metals, actually, on surface, large scale, in an established mining camp. So I do have to caution you, I am the president and CEO of the company. So what you're about to hear is not coming from an impartial source. You should always do your own due diligence when you're thinking of investing money. Or if you have one, speak to your financial advisor. So that's what I have to say on that. There will be questions at the end, and you can certainly ask me anything that, that comes to mind. So Surimeau is 330 square kilometers, as you heard Anna say. This is the black property outline here. That's about 4 times the size of the island of Manhattan, honestly. The blue dots are polymetallic occurrences. The gold are gold, or the yellow are gold occurrences. And the orange dot is actually a copper-silver discovery we made. So we staked all this ground to assemble a vast property, and we've ground truthed the information. The historic showings we were staking up, the blue dots, specifically the Victoria, the Lalonde, and the Colony dots in the middle of the property. We've ground truth mineralization along all of those. And between Victoria and Colony, the blue dots on the orange line, that orange line depicts the Victoria structure, which we've proven to be 20 kilometers long. And it is mineralized with nickel, cobalt, copper, zinc, as well as platinum, palladium group elements, silver, and a few other things. Lalonde is located 4 kilometers to the north. It's also similarly mineralized. We just finished drilling at Lalonde for the first time prior to Christmas, and we did some drilling at Victoria. Today, we've submitted permits to go back drilling end of February, early March. We will be drilling at Victoria, but specifically we'll be drilling at the left-hand side or the western side of the orange line where it makes a little hook. That's the highest priority anomaly on the property, in fact. So we look forward to being back in the field drilling soon. We also look forward to releasing our assay results once we get them in the next couple of weeks. So why are we focused on battery metals? Because actually, apologies, I'm going to back up. You see the black outline is Surimeau. I need to point out 2 other things on this slide. One is the dashed red line. That's the Cadillac break. The Cadillac break is a giant rift or fault structure. It's mineralized with gold. Every couple kilometers, there are gold mines. They're very, very deep gold mines. This structure starts in Ontario, just west of a town called Kirkland Lake. And it continues for about 500 kilometers to east of the town of Val-d'Or in Quebec. So it spans 2 provinces, and it's very well mineralized. If you look under the word Cadillac break, you see a gray outline, which is basically a backwards facing L. That's our Parbec gold deposit. We've shelved Parbec for now. It's not going anywhere. The gold is in the ground. because our focus is Surimeau. So I should have explained all of that to you before we went to the next slide, which is why is our focus Surimeau? Well, because really the time is right now. I'm not going to go too deep into the macro elements around the electric vehicle or the energy transition or the storage of energy. That is the one use of battery metals. But don't forget, battery metals used to be called base metals. We just call them battery metals because it's a bit sexier. We're trying to get people excited. But those base metals, copper, that's critical in the transmission of electricity and in infrastructure uses. Zinc, hardened stainless steel, cobalt, we use that. We use silver. We use all of these metals, and all of these markets were more or less in balance before our industrial revolution, my generation's industrial revolution. It's going to be the storage of energy so that we can live better and take some of the pressure off our aging infrastructure. So EVs, it's a new layer of demand on what was already a pretty stable market. So we're going to focus our time and efforts, because we're a small team, we're an effective team, and we're an aggressive team, but we're small. We're going to focus it on Surimeau. Parbec, our gold deposit will wait. But you see one quote here, which yesterday I made the background orange to make it easier to read, is about China. And we are actually right now witnessing something incredibly interesting happen. China's opened its borders. China's stepped back from its very aggressive COVID policies. It's going to be hideous. There's going to be deaths. There's a lot of lack of vaccination and medical infrastructure and availability. But China's open for business again. And they've been closed for a while. That, I think, is going to lead to a very interesting year for the metals markets. The United States is looking to Canada to supply EV criteria under the Inflation Reduction Act. Automakers are looking to Canada to supply the base metals they need for not only building the cars, but building the batteries. Nickel has its stainless steel uses, but it's got its battery uses, and EVs still use a lot of batteries. So where are we? We're in the province of Quebec, largest province in Canada, but it's a very interesting province. It's very well represented politically. Our Prime Minister and our Minister of Innovation are both Quebecers. But Quebec is very aggressively and deliberately pursuing their development of critical and strategic minerals within the province, both up and downstream uses, battery construction. They've got a couple parks just for the creation of batteries for building the items required for EVs. But we have the metals they need, and they are supportive of exploration. But we were and this is the Surimeau property again, we were the first mover in the area. Now, if you recall, the Cadillac break, the dotted red line, goes just through Parbec. The Cadillac break is interesting because we staked these claims when nobody was in the area. Nobody was in the area because we're in a geological setting called the Superior Province. The ground is incredibly underexplored. The historic showings we staked were limited exploration in the 40s, 60s, and 80s. So we were the first mover. Subsequent to our moving in, there's been 4,000 claims staked, largely to the south of us. Our neighbors aren't shown here, but we're staked in. Now, what is shown here is a distinct advantage we have in our logistical setting. We have the Rapid 7 and the Rapid 2 hydroelectric generating stations to the south of us. The power lines for each of those generating stations across the property. 94% of the electricity in the province of Quebec is hydroelectric electricity. Wind is the next one, and it accounts for about 4%, I believe. This is important. You want to build green cars, you better start with green metals. To make your green metals, you really should start with green energy. There aren't too many places in the world as well equipped as the province of Quebec to do this. We are next door to the Canadian Malartic mine, Canada's largest open pit gold mine. You might wonder, why is that important? Well, it's important for Parbec. Parbec's a surface gold deposit, which our neighbor may be interested in one day. Pardon me, I'm trying to not lose my voice. However, Canadian Malartic is interesting because it's a 4-kilometer long open pit. The mineralization at Surimeau, which stretches over 20 kilometers at Victoria, as we discussed, and over 9 kilometers at Lalonde, which is just slightly to the north on the property, the mineralization starts at surface. It's very important from a social acceptability and permitting regime point of view that we have a 4-kilometer long, 400-meter deep open pit next door. It's been in operation for at least 10 years now. They're going underground. They'll be filling the pit in. But nonetheless, it's an excellent precedent. Due north of us is the town of Cadillac. Just to the east of us is the town of Malartic. Further to the east is the city of Val-d'Or. These are all mining towns. They have everything and anything we could possibly need. Not shown on this map is the city of Rouen to the west, which is actually the site of Glencore's copper nickel smelter, the Horn. So the eventual purchaser of the property is approximately an hour away by maintained provincial highway. So we cannot beat the logistics of why do I go on about the logistics? Because I'll tell you what the logistics do. They make it easier and cheaper for us to operate. The cheaper it is to operate, the lower grade material we can consider potential mine material. So if we can mine an open pit, which is the cheapest way to mine, and we've got the cheapest logistical setting we can possibly imagine, we drive to the property, nobody lives there, we're not bothering anybody. That means that the threshold, that the resource, once there's a resource at Surimeau, the threshold that resource would have to cross to mature into a mine is a very low threshold. I mentioned surface mineralization. This is what it looks like. We shipped 275 meters and stripped it to see the mineralization on surface. That's also what the cover slide was. It's neat to do. It gives us a better idea. We did the same thing at Lalonde. It's not in this presentation. Interestingly, at Lalonde, we saw more copper zinc on surface. So, pardon me for a minute. Here is our Surimeau property zoomed in. We're looking at the center of the property. And again, we're looking at Victoria West and Colony. And that 20-kilometer trend, that's the Victoria structure. To the north of it, we're looking at the Lalonde structure. Now, you see there's a white line down the middle. That's the highway. That is a regional highway that goes to the Rapid 7 hydroelectric generating station. It's kept open year-round and in spectacular condition to service the generating station. That highway actually runs right through the mineralization. Sorry, we turn off that highway to drill. Now, the base map here, the pretty colors, that's an electromagnetic map. Sorry, that's a magnetic map. It shows you, it highlights the magnetic trend, which is the ultramafics carrying the nickel and the cobalt. The little white and light pink squares, those are the electromagnetic anomalies. They see sulfides in the first 100 meters. This is a roadmap to mineralization. We send our geologists, and we have, to the various colored squares. If they can find bedrock, which they can, it's either on surface or under a meter or two of overburden, they find mineralization. We will be drilling in March. If you notice on the left, there's a red square. That's the highest priority target on the property. Late February, early March, we intend to drill it. We drilled at Lalonde, right around the road and slightly west of the road. And you can see the green dots of Victoria West to the left or the west of the road indicate where we've already drilled off 2.2 kilometers of mineralization. And we did our stripping. What did we find when we drilled? Well, excuse me, north dipping mineralization that's forming a corridor about 125 meters wide in north-south terms. We've proven by drill that it stretches 2.2 kilometers, but we know it stretches 20 kilometers. We do have also know, however, and it's impossible to see in this map. The western portion of the structure splits into two, and we've only looked at the southern portion of the structure. So just before Christmas, we actually drilled the northern shoulder of the structure. Those results are pending. What are we seeing? We're seeing nickel that's shaking out at the 0.25% grade. However, we've drilled 3.46% nickel, so it's not a fixed grade. Cobalt, several hundred ppm of cobalt, 0.4, 0.3, 0.5 copper, and interesting zinc grades, actually. However, I don't have any information in this presentation about assays because I don't want you to get fixed on them yet. We've only drilled off very loosely 2.2 kilometers of a 20 kilometer structure, so it's premature, but it's there. Lalonde, that's the stripping we did. We did the drilling. We drilled under the road and under the trenches. Results are pending. More about the ESG advantage and just the logistical advantage. We're well positioned to deliver material into the United States, and Canada has comprehensive free trade agreements with pretty much anyone we need to be worried about when you're talking about EVs. So, Surimeau, sustainable potential future nickel source. That's really what it is. Green power source, carbon sequestration. We know that the ultramafics absorb carbon. There are several companies studying that extensively right now. Low impact location and logistics. And what are we striving for? What's the proof that we can do this? Has it been done before? It's being done right now in Finland. And actually, it's being done in a very interesting manner because they're operating year-round in winter conditions, heap leach, which is an even less impactful way to create metals. So we'll see. We can't see the future. Don't know what that potential eventual mine at Surimeau looks like, but I'm personally pretty sure it'll be there one day. Lithium. There is lithium at Surimeau. We haven't done a lot of work on it yet, partly because the nickel is so obvious. We have to chase down the nickel. This presentation, once we're done here today, I'm going to put it on my website. You'll be able to read through all of this. You don't want to listen to me with my voice talking it through at this point. Suffice to say, there is lithium there. We're backed by gold. We have the Parbec gold deposit. We have the Nixon-Bartleman gold property in Ontario. Both are mineralized. Parbec is pretty much sitting in a vault. It's a high-grade deposit. Significant grade, better than our 1 gram neighbor. It's in a camp that's known for being very deep, and all the mineralization is 80% of it's above 300 meters depth, with deeper pierce points that have not been incorporated or infill drilled in order to be incorporated into the resource. Significant lengths or high assays. Interesting to note here that anything that's not between 2007 and 2019, so anything through the 80s or 21, 20, it's not in the resource that exists. So we have work we could do at Parbec when we determine we want to spend the money on the gold. However, in the current environment, gold's on a bit of a tear. We'll just wait and see where it settles down. Perhaps we sell Parbec to fund Surimeau. So our timing is correct. We're in an EV market. We're in a mining market, I think, coming down the pipe. I've done this before. I've acquired assets. I've sold assets. Superior logistic advantage, surface mineralization. Data's limited, largely underexplored property, limited exploration where we have worked. We're a secure company. We've got more than $1 million in the bank. We've got a trading account that's got more than $1 million in it. We've got a gold deposit in the ground. And it's as a bootstrap operation. We run it on a shoestring. So we're not going anywhere. Now, macro market, industry support, M&A, nickel assets get bought mighty quick when they hit the market. We won't get bought until we put a resource in place, I would expect. And we don't have one yet. And there's the Parbec gold resource. So that, Anna, is the presentation. if we want to go back to Anna.
Yeah, I'm right here.
That's it. I'm done.
Wonderful. Great.
Thank you. Have any questions.
Thank you. We've got tons of questions for you, Nicole. Let's take a sip and let's jump in. So Adrian Cantwell wants to know, how big is the drill program and how long will it take?
Hi, Adrian. Next round on the western end that we put in the permit in for, we're ballparking about 3,500 meters. Probably take this property drills like butter, and our drillers are phenomenal. So the actual drilling is probably a 3-week process. Hoping to start the end of February, maybe early March. That would have our guys in the field for about a month and a half. We are putting in contingency permits in case the permitting takes too long and we can't get to the western end. So we'll see what happens. But we're not blowing the bank. That'll have us still with some money in the bank. But it'll give us more data points.
Great. And Michael Zuckerman wants to know, what about graphite? Can you discuss if this is in your future?
There's a graphitic shale horizon, which we use as a marker as to where the mineralization is. We haven't actually looked at the graphite. I've been wondering that myself. Possibly. I don't know enough about graphite, to be honest with you. There's no historical evidence of that particular property being interesting for graphite. But again, it's so underexplored, who really knows? So I'll give you a maybe.
Okay.
We're looking at everything.
And another question from Adrian. What is the overall strategy for Renforth? Keep going it alone, bring in partners at the project level, or sell off completely an asset or two at some point?
There's optionality in front of Renforth right now, Adrian. Realistically, what I would like to see happen would be the sale of Parbec at a price that's acceptable to Renforth. We've had offers in the past I've said no to. So that's option one. Option two, it might be a significant supportive private equity type shareholder who would give us a good chunk of funding, allowing us to really hit Surimeau hard. Surimeau is the focus. A partner, it's premature, but I know they're watching. I've had conversations at conferences I've been attending, Adrian. It's being looked at already for offtake potential, given its proximity to Horn or to there's a zinc smelter also owned by Glencore to the east. So yeah, at some point a partner, but I really don't want the partner coming into the project with the limited amount. Like, we drilled just over 3,000 meters, if memory serves, at Christmas. And prior to that, I believe our drill number was around 4,700 meters. So as you can appreciate, I'd like to get a lot more drilling under our belt before a partner comes into the picture. But do I intend Renforth to do this all itself? Not at 3 cents. It can't.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. Hugo, first of all, says, thank you, Nicole, for coming on, especially feeling less than 100%. It shows a lot of dedication for you.
Thanks,
and
Hugo.
Hugo's question is, are there any majors producing close to you? And if so, which metals?
Yeah, we've got next door the Canadian Malartic mines producing gold. Interestingly, if you recall on the slide that showed the other mines, the Laurent mine directly to the north, it's a mine. They produce a significant amount of copper as a byproduct. Like, we're contiguous to Canadian Malartic, and we're no more than 20 kilometers south of Laurent. Westwood is next to them, producing gold. As you go further east from Canadian Malartic, there's a lot of gold mines. They're all on the Cadillac Break. Producing base metals near us? No, not really. We're a brand new story. Nobody's done this. Nobody knows this property. And we'll be the first. So it's exciting.
Ernie says, you made a statement earlier, you are not an exploration company. You have the asset. So have there been any proven reserve studies done to date?
On the gold asset, yes, there's a resource. It's in the appendix of the presentation. It's also out of date. There's no resource calculated yet on Surimeau. We've not done enough work. What I really mean by that is a lot of junior exploration companies, you see them option properties and then go exploring the properties for the mineralization. We know the mineralization's there. We know we have a minimum 29 kilometers. Lalande will grow when we have the time to do some more surface work, which won't be before late summer when things dry up. So we're not exploring, we're defining. We're working to define how big is Surimeau, what does Surimeau really hold? But nobody calls it a junior definition company, so I'm making things up.
Okay. Antoine Ogre says, Happy New Year, and thank you and your team for the hard work so far. So with all the deals being made around Surimeau and all the minerals that will soon be transported in the vicinity of Surimeau, how do you view the coming months and the years? How much more drilling is needed before we catch buyers' attention?
Well, hi, Antoine. Happy New Year. That's an interesting question. I mean, it could be one drill hole catches somebody's attention, right? How much drilling is needed? Realistically, we probably have to work on 100-meter spacing in order to calculate an inferred resource, is what I understand. We drilled off 2.2 kilometers with wider than 100-meter spacing. At Surimeau, we're focused on 6 kilometers. At Lalande, we're specifically focused on perhaps 2.5 kilometers right now. So we have to do a lot of drilling. If we have to drill that off, that's 10 drill setups per kilometer, right? That's a couple dozen thousand meters of drilling still to come, Antoine. And no intention to hurry up to do a resource, to be honest, because where would you draw the line for the resource? There's still so much we don't know. So once the resource is out there, that's going to really put the property in a slot. And I hesitate to do that prematurely and then drill a hole after the resource and have it be even better. So for now, we'll be drilling all summer, Antoine. Drill, 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 drill. Maybe some prospecting.
Tom Fraser wants to know, are you going to be exporting and selling to China?
Canadian government does not allow that anymore. Perhaps you've been watching the acquisition of a property in the Arctic by the Canadian government was stopped after the deal was agreed to, subsequently acquired by Agnico Eagle. It was a gold property. 6 companies, publicly traded Canadian companies with properties, not all in Canada actually, were told to unwind Chinese shareholders by the Canadian government. Seemingly a bit of an overreach, but I'm not a lawyer. What do I know? So will any Canadian company be exporting to China? I don't think so. I think the three amigos right now are talking about how Canada and Mexico will probably be exporting to the United States, if I had to wager a guess. We did host the German government. I guess we like them too. But no, I don't think we'll be exporting to China.
Okay, thank you for that. Dwight Owen asks, how is the company currently capitalized and how much do you need to raise to get to promotion?
Well, currently capitalized, I think we're sitting around $1 million right now. We've got $1 million in our trading accounts separate from that, which we'd have to sell the securities if we chose to. How much do I need to raise to get to promotion? I'm not sure the meaning of that. However, as much money as I can raise will go in the ground. My promotion budget's very minimal. I got to tell you, emerging markets is a very cost-effective thing that we'll see how effective it is. But I don't do a lot of marketing. Don't spend a lot of money on it. I go to conferences looking for senior partners. Those are the meetings I'm having right now. At the same time as giving our guys time to work to where the senior partners will step in. But there's no answer to that. I mean, I'll spend whatever money I have. That's the reality.
Okay.
But it goes in the ground. So.
Right. Brett M asks, so there comes a time when resource exploration companies become de-risked. So what is the major milestone that shareholders should look for, which will take some risk off the table?
So that's a good question. My job is now to de-risk this property. To de-risk it for shareholders is one job, but my real job is to de-risk it for suitors, for those senior partners. They don't do what we do. They don't do it the way we do, and they don't take the risks we take. We're the entrepreneurial side of mining. What would de-risk it for shareholders? A few things. And there's no easy answer, unfortunately. if you're not a geologist, you want to be looking at any junior company for consistent news that's clearly written about assets they actually own, or they clearly disclose whether or not they own, and consistent, positive drill results. That's what de-risks it for anybody. Now, a 43101, at some point, that might be a rubber stamp de-risking, but I will tell you, in an M&A transaction, my 43101 is useless to a suitor. They will take all of my data, they will calculate it themselves because that's the business they're in. So really, de-risking, you want to listen to management. You want to decide your comfort level with management, how management speaks to people. You want to see management do what they say they're going to do. And you want to see consistent results that you could somehow put in the context of being reasonable, which is why I put the Finnish mine in the presentation. We don't have high-grade nickel right now. We don't even know what grade nickel we have, but low-grade nickel works. So I put it there to show you that this does work. That Finnish mine's very large. They're doing some very innovative things in terms of green mining, but it can work. So that's what we're shooting for. So really, you know, maybe I'm anomalous, but I'm very reachable. Email me, phone me. Maybe don't phone me right now unless you like my voice.
Great. Let's close with a question from William Satliger. He has a few questions, but due to time and how you're feeling, we'll just end with
William
one.
can get a hold of me, so just give me one of his questions.
Okay, a good one. What's the next most important milestone for 2023 with you all?
William, it's probably significant drill holes. I'm really intrigued to see what the western arm of Victoria holds. It's interpreted as a fold nose. It's the highest priority EM target on the property. Some interesting magnetic lows amongst magnetic highs as well. But really, Willie, we're chasing the VMS. We have Dr. Franklin working on it. He's about to get a huge data dump. We see the stringers of the VMS, but a giant coup d'etat, regardless of when it comes, would be to find where is the blind VMS within the, where are the stringers pointing. Dr. Franklin started that work. So that's my brass ring I'm really shooting for. But in the meantime, Willie, it's just going to be consistent positive drill results as we define the size of this.
Great. Well, Nicole, we have so many more questions for you, but we will send them to you so you can answer when you're feeling better. Truly, thank you so much for joining us despite how you are feeling. It was a great presentation and lots of great response from our audience. So join us again in the future, please.
I certainly will. And anybody else can also email me. It's Nicole@renforthresources.com.
Perfect.
Appreciate everyone's time. Lovely to see you in person.
All right. Nice to see you as well. Feel better?
Thank you. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
All right, everyone, stay with us. We'll be right back with our next presenter.